Hello everyone! Welcome back to another 2v2 battle. I'm playing as Bretonnia. My ally is the Empire. We are facing off against the Vampire Counts and another Imperial player. My army here, as these steam tanks go off and shoot some Blood Knights, is the King, of course. We have 3 spears and 4 man-at-arms, 1 peasant bow, a damsel that's not mounted. I didn't have enough money for that. We have a paladin that is mounted, a Pegasus Knight, a Knight to the Realm, Grail Knight, 2 mounted yeoman archers, my Empire ally, of course you can see the 2 steam tanks, Amber Wizard on a Griffin, a General on a Griffin, an Imperial Captain on a Pegasus, a lot of Spearmen, 2 Flagellants on each end, 1 Sigmar Sun, and that is their army. For the Vampire count, we have 2 Blood Knights, 2 Fellbats, a whole bunch of zombies, the Tithe zombies, Crypt Horror, 2 Graveguard, Vlad, and 2 White Kings. And then this Imperial player brought the Sterling's Revenge, which we can't see right now at the time when we were playing this because they have stalk. They also has Balthazar Gelt, a Light Wizard, a Celestial Wizard, multiple Spearmen, Sigmar Sons, the Sun Maker, 3 Handgunners, Crossbowmen, and yeah, some Swordsmen. I believe that is their army. That's a lot of magic. 3 different spellcasting schools here, which is insane. I've never seen that before. Just because, I say it's insane because, you know, all 3 spellcasters are pulling from the same Winds of Magic pool, so it's... For me, that's a lot of spellcasting. I usually just pick one, but hey, you know what? At least you have a lot of variety for almost any situation that can pop up. But anyway, right now, these steam tanks drove out in front of the armies to do some damage to the Blood Knights. You can see they have done that. They've dealt some damage, and the Blood Knights are now withdrawing. I'm not sure what... Oh, that must be Invocation of the Heck. Yep, Invocation of the Heck is being dropped. So they're going to be able to regain a lot of those hit points that they lost, as the steam tanks continue to fire into them. Now, over here, these Pegasus Knights... Whoop, seeing that this army wasn't responding to my knights moving to their flank, meaning their gunners, the Free Company, you know, the Silver Bullets, which I don't think I mentioned before. They had the Silver Bullets. They were not responding, so I wanted to do a quick charge on these Fellbats, try and rout them and destroy them really quickly. Then the army does respond, and I'm going to start moving immediately. I was thinking I could stay outside of their arc, because again, they weren't really responding that quickly, but no, that's not exactly the case. So I'm going to be eating a lot of damage here from my Pegasus Knights, because some of them did continue to get stuck on the Fellbats and bought more time for these gunners to fire at them. So I actually take a lot of damage for this little maneuver just to try and kill a Fellbat, which is not good. Not good at all. Meanwhile, these steam tanks are firing into the Silver Bullets currently and into just this clump of infantry. Those Hellstorm rocket batteries are hitting my Spearmen, so I'm going to actually pull back my army. I'm usually one to be very aggressive, but in this case, I don't see a reason to do that, because we still have Pegasus Knights, we have the air superiority over here, we have these steam tanks firing in, so I'm just like, this is fine. I also have the mounted yeoman archers that we can use, and will use here shortly. So we're just trying to pull out of range so we don't just get totally massacred by those. Over here we have a flock of doom being cast by the Amber Wizard onto this Imperial infantry. Amber Wizard is right over there. Steam tanks still firing in here. The Flock of Doom has dealt some damage. Not a bad amount of damage. And then my Pegasus Knights are going to try and harass these Fellbats, because now they are not close enough to the gunners to be supported, and that's a battle that Pegasus Knights can easily win. Over here, these zombies start to get picked off by Karl Franz and his Air Force. Meanwhile, those steam tanks are still firing into the Imperial army. This Air Force can easily break the morale of a zombie and have them crumble. You can see the Vampire player has pulled a lot of their better forces back. Another Flock of Doom is cast on this group of Imperial infantry. And so we're just kind of harassing them at this point. They can't really threaten the air as long as you don't allow them to. You can see that the Imperial player is moving all of their ranged into a line over here to fend off Karl Franz and his Air Force. Right here, the Curse of Years, I think? Yeah, Curse of Years gets cast on our Pegasus Knights. I'm pulling out immediately because I thought it may have been a net of Ammontok from their Light Wizard. That's what I thought, so I wanted to get some distance between me and those guns. Luckily for me, it was not a net of Ammontok, because then I would have just been sitting still for all those guns to shoot into, so I'm glad that happened. This Gaze of Nagash gets dropped, hits their own Blood Knights, and then misses their intended target, which I think was... Actually, I don't know who it was. Maybe the Amber Wizard, maybe the Mescal, I'm not sure. This Sunmaker moves up out of position to try and continue to fire at my units, so it continues to hit some of my spearmen back there. Steam Tank is still focusing down these gunners as they fire into this Manticore. They get some damage in. My Pegasus Knights are now routing this group of Fellbats, and I will be going after the second group. Did I already kill one group? Oh, maybe I already killed one group. This is the second one I'm killing. I remember I killed both of them, so yeah, that checks out. Here goes my Mounted Yeoman. Balthasar Gelt casts the Hounds of something. Hounds of something. I can't remember what it's called. But these people are here to try and get some damage on this Sunmaker. Even though they just fired at Balthasar Gelt. It tries to fire at us, but it totally misses. Here comes the Blood Knights that have the Harmonic Convergence cast on them by the Celestial Wizards. So we are just going to withdraw from this engagement. We are faster than the Blood Knights. Right here, my people start walking, and I remember freaking out. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You need to run. You need to really run. Meanwhile, the Imperial army still gets kind of spread out over here and picked apart by the siege tanks. Oh, wait, no, there's the Fellbats. Actually, I think they withdrew from my Pegasus Knights. They get a decent shot from the Sunmaker onto our Mounted Yeoman, but we start to move, getting some pot shots with our other Mounted Yeoman on this Blood Knights and the Sunmaker. Balthasar Gelt is moving behind this group of spearmen, and they issue a charge order on these Mounted Yeomen. They, unless I'm not paying attention, they have zero chance of catching a Mounted Yeoman. They are pretty fast cav. So we're just going to take some shots, trying to finish off this Sunmaker, and then we're going to withdraw. You can see our Air Force still just kind of being intimidating behind him. And this is when the Empire player is, I think they just had enough. I think that's what happened, because they start charging out towards the main line of the Imperial Infantry, which is reformed over here. Siege tanks are still in front and have some ammunition, and they are kind of charging in a little staggered. And Balthasar Gelt and this Spear unit is still over here, just kind of by themselves. They do have some Blood Knight support nearby, so I don't really want to engage this group with our Grail Knights and our Knights of the Realm, which are over here. So we're going to continue to withdraw, take shots with a Mounted Yeoman. We're in no real hassle. We have the maneuverability or mobility to just keep this kind of thing going. Our army, meanwhile, is still over here. I'm pulling them in here in case the Blood Knights try to charge us. I want Spearmen and Men-at-Arms nearby to crush them. Not sure what's going down here. Barona's Time Warp. Okay, so it increases their movement speed and their melee attack. I think that may have been casted a little early, but maybe they just really wanted these swordsmen to get into those lines as fast as possible. So now the remaining Imperial infantry is going to be fighting this civil war over here, backed up by their remaining casters. Balthasar Gelt is still hanging out over here, getting shot up by our Mounted Yeomen. The Blood Knights are now going to move to support this fight over here along with these White Kings. I'm going to then move my army over this way, seeing that the Blood Knights don't want to engage over here. And I'm just going to deal some damage to Balthasar Gelt, because why not? But the main fight is going to be happening over here. I will charge Balthasar Gelt and the Spearmen with my Knights of the Grail, and eventually pull my forces over here. My Pegasus Knights are now on their way. They were sitting there in the back. This Light Wizard is in a melee with the General of the Empire. General of the Empire, not as strong as Karl Franz, but still pretty powerful on a Griffin. And over here, we have the friendly Empire Knight, or Captain, taking out some of the enemy infantry there with the steam tank. So also what happened here is that in this initial charge of the enemy Empire player, these handgunners, the crossbowmen, they were in the main battle line and were charging up towards the spears, and then they stopped at the very last moment and started walking back. I think the player just maybe dragged and selected everybody into like a move it order or something, and they didn't realize until a little too late. So these handgunners, the crossbowmen, were near into melee, withdrew, and then got charged by flagellants and the spearmen and got instantly routed, which is why they're now back there. I think I missed that, which is why I wanted to explain what was going on. Over here we have the king jumping into this fight against this White King. I'm going to then pull out because these people come back from routing, and I'm going to be sending my Pegasus Knights and the King back there to deal with those handgunners. Meanwhile, my army is still on its way. My Grail Knights are now fighting against Balthazar Gelt, and they destroyed those spearmen, or routed those spearmen. Here come those Blood Knights. And here we go. My Pegasus Knights charge. In a way, this was not intended, but they actually get a piece of all 3 of these ranged units, which, again, was not intended, but it happened, and I like this. Because it kind of stops all of them from firing right now. And now we got some enemy Graveguard in here, which I don't really want to fight, so we're going to withdraw. We have rerouted these units again. Take a look at the hit points here. The Blood Knights here are half dead. This group is still fully alive. I'm chasing them with my mounted yeomen. Again, our army is nearby. I'm not sure where these knights go. But these knights charge into the flagellants. Flagellants will take a lot of damage from the shock cav. Yeah, so Cryptor is in the back there, routing a group of spearmen. The King and the Pegasus Knights are still going to be hounding these ranged units back here because they keep coming back from routing. And Vlad von Karstein and his Graveguard are going to surround the King. My units are getting into this battle here. Steam tanks just killing zombies. Sigma! While the Air Force does surgical strikes. I believe I cast the Curse of Midnight, or... Is that what the spell's called? The debuff that the Damsel has, like Curse of the Moon, something like that. Over here we have the Sword of Corone drop from the King as he is engaged with all of these units. Pegasus Knights are still routing off some of the handgunners and crossbows. My Knights of the Realm are nearby, but they are actually going to be charged by these Blood Knights. So I was paying attention to something else at the time. And then I'm going to pull them out. And I'm going to try and lure the Blood Knights around and closer to my Man-at-Arms and Spearmen and my Yeomen that are over here. That's what they are going to be doing. Meanwhile, these zombies are still just in a pitched battle against my Spearmen. My Peasant Bows are in there firing. Men-at-Arms are nearby to reinforce if needed. But, I mean, they're just zombies. There goes another Curse of Midnight, isn't it? Yeah, Curse of Midnight win. There it is. My Paladin is over here in this clump of enemy doing what he does. The King got some damage surrounded by Vlad like that, so I had to pull him out, and now we're dealing some more damage to the gunners. These Blood Knights see what I'm doing as I'm trying to lure them into where my Grail Knights and other units are, so they are starting to pull out, but I'm going to harass them with our mounted yeomen. And I'm also going to bring the King over here to try and put them in, pin them into place with him and the Pegasus Knights, so then we can get an actual charge off with the Grail Knights. Yep, we want to pin them down. Here's our Knights of the Realm to help pin them down. And then the actual damage dealers, the Grail Knights are reeling around. Although at this point, those Blood Knights, they actually crumble. So these Grail Knights are going to be going after this group instead. That was pinned down by my Pegasus Knights. But before they get a charge off, that is going to be the victory. Not sure, like, there's really not much to see in terms of a cinematic one here. The reason why I want to show this battle is because it's a unique one for where, like, me and my ally didn't do a hard engage from the very start. We just used our superior mobility and my archers, his air force, to just kind of pick apart the enemy army and get them to a point where they just charged. Because the Amber Wizard was casting those Flock of Spells, or Flock of Doom spells. I think he casted 3 in total. The Steam Tank was just destroying those handgunners. I was trying to deal with that Sunmaker, and I didn't really show it off here, but the Sunmaker was locked on to my Mounted Yeoman for a while, so I was doing the whole just run back and forth thing, so I wasted some of their ammunition there. And yeah, we were very patient. We knew we had the mobility advantage. We just stay away from the Blood Knights. We stay away from the handgunners. Well, after I got shut up, I stayed away from the handgunners. And it was just a unique battle. It was a decisive victory. I think maybe the Imperial player was a little new because, I mean, they let Balthazar Gelt and his spearmen just run across the entire battlefield and chase Cav. That's not something you would typically see. But besides that, it was a fun battle. Like, we didn't have to get a hard engage, really. Although the Empire ally did because he was charged. But at that point, we just really picked apart their army just by... It's like a patient hunter type thing. Like the Tau from 40k. I don't know. I just thought it was a unique battle. Let's take a look at the kills. King Lewin 28, Damsel 0, Paladin 0, Spearman got into it with the zombies, but like my man-at-arms, I was just holding in reserve for most of that. That's all they were really doing. I was waiting for Blood Knights to engage nearby, and I would run them in and try and kill Blood Knights, but they didn't even see combat. Peasant Bows killed zombies. Not that impressive. The Knights of the Realm, 61 kills. Grail Knights, only 20. Mounted Yeoman got some decent amount of kills on the Sunmaker, and they whittled down some Spearmen. They dealt some hit point damage to Blood Knights. Not insane. The Pegasus Knights ended up routing one of the Fell Bats and then did repeating charges against the Handgunners, so they got a lot of kills there. My Imperial allies, 64 kills on the Captain, 54 on the Amber Wizard, 38 on the General. Just, like, man, those steam tanks. The enemy didn't have a real answer to steam tanks. The enemy Empire player brought this the Sunmaker, and actually shot at the steam tanks early on with the Sunmaker, but that is a waste of your ammo for Sunmaker, and I think the player realized that. They only shot 1 or 2 salvos at the steam tanks, saw that it did almost no damage at all, and then they switched to either my Mounted Yeoman or my Infantry, I can't remember which. But yeah, if this player had, like, instead of the Sunmaker, or instead of maybe ranking up, actually though, it shows ranked up because that is the Sigmar Sons. But if they maybe brought the Witch Hunter, what's the renowned cannon? Anyway, if they brought that thing could shut down steam tanks because it has a bonus versus large. It does a lot of armor piercing, and I think it could bring down steam tanks pretty easily. But they didn't really have much of an answer, so the steam tanks are allowed to just kill everything. They were protected by a really good air force, so that was a really good build for them to be out there kind of extended, but they were still protected with, Manticore, Amber Wizard, all these very high damage dealing units, so that was a good build there. And the Vampire account player, Vlad, didn't even really get to see much combat. He dealt some damage to the King. The zombies died. The White Kings just kind of died. The Blood Knights got picked apart before the battle really started, but they still managed to eke out some kills. Same thing with the Fellbats. They were dead. The King routed one, and then the Pegasus Knights routed one. 90 kills in the Cryptors, though, so they dealt some damage to Spearmen and Swordsmen, I believe. So yeah, this was a really cool battle. It was different for me because, as you've probably seen, I'm a pretty aggressive player. I rarely play fully defensive focused armies unless I'm playing the dwarves, because charging across an open field with dwarves is not the best idea. I have done it, but it's not the best idea. But yeah, I don't try to be super defensive. I like being aggressive. I like the green tide. I like playing with hundreds of orcs and goblins and just charging across the field, slamming into the enemy lines, crushing their artillery in their corners, on their hills, and winning the day that way. But this is a different type of playstyle, and it was fun. Just pick the enemy army apart piece by piece with spells and Mounted Yeomen and little charges here with an air force. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, again, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time. Have a good day.